The gunshot echoed in the damp wooden house on the outskirts of New York. The blood of Kai Vortex staining the rotting wooden floor. That year, Kai was only 16, his trembling hands gripping an old hunting rifle. His father, a drug and alcohol addict, had beaten him and his mother for many years. The last time, he nearly killed Kai's sister with a leather belt. Kai did not hesitate. One shot ended it all. Now, 8 years later, he sat in the dark cell of a federal prison, his cold eyes staring into the endless void. Life seemed to end here, between 4 grey concrete walls and the screams echoing from other cells. Suddenly, the iron door creaked open. A middle-aged man, Elias Storm, entered in a stylish grey suit, his hair streaked with silver from the wind. He was the founder of the CIA's Eclipse program, a secret project recruiting killers from the hell of prisons, turning them into living weapons for the nation, not from prestigious military academies, but from souls stained with blood. Kai Vortex, Elias said in a warm voice, his sharp gaze sweeping over Kai's muscular body. I know your story. You killed your father to protect your sister. No regrets. Right, but do you really want to live? Kai lifted his head, muscles tightening beneath the faded prison uniform. Elias explained briefly, the Eclipse program chose people like him, killers without a second thought, but with a hint of conscience buried deep. They would train him to become an invisible agent, erasing his identity. No past, no future. In return, he would serve the CIA in the shadows, where the law could not reach. Kai thought, in prison. He was just waiting for a slow death. Outside, at least there was a chance to take revenge on the world that had pushed him here. He nodded. From that moment, Kai Vortex died, and Eclipse 7 was born. 10 years passed like a continuous nightmare. Kai was trained at secret bases scattered from Los Angeles to Miami, learning close combat, long-range sniping, hacking security systems, and the art of survival in urban hell. Elias Storm became a mentor, even a godfather, assigning him the task of protecting his niece Sophia, a girl with a congenital heart defect, living in a safe mansion on the outskirts of Washington. Elias trusted Kai so much that he treated him like a son. But Elias was about to retire. Power fell into the hands of Victor Draven, an ambitious man with a fake smile, running the CIA like a personal empire shrouded in darkness. Today, Victor summoned Kai to the underground headquarters beneath Washington. The air was cold, neon lights flickering on global surveillance screens. New mission 7, Victor said, his eyes gleaming with greed. Eliminate a data smuggler in Bangkok. He threatens national security. Kill him cleanly. Leave no trace. Kai accepted the order without question. His partner was Aria Voss, a sharp female agent with long black hair tied up, her slender figure clad in a tight black suit. Carrying a suitcase of sophisticated concealed weapons, they met at Suvarnabhumi Airport, Bangkok. Amidst the bustling crowd and the strong scent of spices, Arya glanced at Kai, her voice confident. Ready. 7. The target is in the city center. They moved quickly to the high-rise building, where the ambush was set. Kai assembled the sniper rifle, aiming through the scope at the chaotic traffic below. The target appeared, an Asian man, surrounded by muscular bodyguards. Victor monitored through the earpiece fire. But then, a child unexpectedly ran close to the target, laughing and playing with a rubber ball. Kai hesitated. The Eclipse rule minimized civilian casualties. He could not shoot. I can't. Kai whispered into the earpiece. Victor shouted, do it now. 7. Kai dropped the gun and took action. He activated the hidden fire alarm. The sirens blaring. The crowd panicking and scattering. The power system went dark. and the target hurriedly retreated. Kai jumped from the high floor, rappelling down to the street, his body crashing hard. A spinning kick took down the first bodyguard, twisting the neck of the second. A handgun fired loudly, but he dodged the bullet. Using a knife to stab through the chest of the third, Arya joined from a distance, shooting accurately, coordinating seamlessly. The target ran into a dark alley, and Kai chased after him, jumping from the rooftop to the hard ground. The two faced off. The target charged in, using karate to block the blows. Kai realized this was Eclipse 4, his former teammate Marcus Kane. They fought fiercely, hooks, high kicks, grappling on the dirty ground. Kai pulled out a knife, wounding Marcus severely, before dying. Marcus whispered, "Victor is the traitor. The secret is in this data core. Kill him, or you will die." Marcus handed over the chain containing the data core, then breathed his last. Kai left the scene, his heart pounding. Victor sent men to search the body, but found nothing. Victor called, "Bring the data core back." Kai pretended to agree, but suspicion surged. He opened the core at a nearby internet cafe, but it was heavily encrypted. Arya called gather urgently per Victor's orders. Kai refused, hiding the core in the chain, discarding his old phone to avoid being tracked. He contacted Elias through a backup channel. Elias revealed he had been pushed out by Victor to cover up a dark conspiracy. "Sophia is in danger," Elias said, his voice trembling. Kai clenched his fists. The hunt began. "Which area are you listening to this story from? And what time is it where you are right now? Leave a comment below so I know you are still healthy and fully focused on this story." My dear friend, we will continue right after this. Kai Vortex landed on the hard ground on the outskirts of Bangkok, his body aching after the emergency parachute jump from the plane. His heart raced. Elias Storm's words still echoing, "Sophia is in danger. Victor Draven is hunting you." The data core hidden in the chain weighed heavily around his neck, containing secrets that could topple the CIA. Kai could not stay here long. Victor had sent assassins, and Bangkok was now a death trap. He bought a new SIM card at the night market. Contacting Elias once again, "I need a safe rendezvous. Decode this core." Elias whispered, "Go to Moscow. I have an old contact there." A secret flight from a secondary airport. Kai nodded in the darkness, filled with doubt. Victor had eyes and ears everywhere. He moved quickly through the damp streets, the smell of spicy street food mingling with exhaust fumes. An old motorcycle was borrowed from a parking lot, and Kai sped towards the small airport on the outskirts. The plane was ready, an old Cessna. The pilot was one of Elias's men. Kai boarded the plane. Checking the handgun hidden in his jacket, the plane took off, leaving behind the shimmering neon lights of Bangkok, heading towards Moscow through the Asian night sky. He tried to open the data core on a backup laptop, but the encryption was too complex. "What is Victor smuggling?" Kai muttered, picturing the man's fake face. In midair, the unexpected happened. The pilot turned around, eyes gleaming with malice. "Sorry." 7. Victor offered a higher price. He drew a handgun, aiming straight at Kai's chest. Kai reacted lightning fast, using his hand to block the gun's barrel, the bullet firing off into the plane's ceiling. The explosion echoed. The plane shook. Kai lunged forward, using Muay Thai to kick the pilot in the stomach, hearing the sound of breaking bones. The pilot roared, twisting Kai's hand with jiu-jitsu, pinning him to the floor. They rolled around the cramped cabin, a fire extinguisher rolling about. Kai grabbed the extinguisher, smashing it into the pilot's face, blood splattering everywhere. But it wasn't over. The plane's door burst open. 2 mercenaries jumped in from a pursuing helicopter, They were Victor's team, dressed in black, muscles bulging. The first one charged in, using karate to slice across Kai's neck. He dodged, using taekwondo to kick high into the chest of that man, pushing him back a few steps. The wind howled through the open door. The plane nosedived. The second one fired a machine gun, bullets shredding the seats. Kai rolled behind the pilot's seat, firing back with his handgun. 2 shots hit the man's shoulder, and he screamed as he fell out the door. Kai jumped up, using an armbar to choke the first man, breaking his arm. That man thrashed, a knife slashing across Kai's arm, blood pouring out. The plane shook violently. The pilot was dead, and the engine made strange noises. Kai pushed the first soldier out, the wind sucking him into the darkness. The second one charged in, using boxing to throw powerful punches. Kai blocked with kung fu, landing a series of punches to his face. Hearing the sound of a jaw breaking, he threw the other man down to the floor, using a knife to stab through his chest. Blood stained the cabin, but the helicopter outside continued to pursue, firing machine guns at the tail of the plane. The wing exploded, thick black smoke billowing. Kai rushed to the cockpit, trying to pull the control stick, but it was useless. The plane plummeted like a meteor. He looked out the open door, the wind howling in his ears. There was no time to hesitate. Kai jumped with the reserve parachute, following the last soldier who was falling freely. In midair, he used his knife to cut the man's parachute cords, landing safely in the forest near the Russian border. His body ached, but he was alive. The data core was still safe. Kai ran through the dark forest, his breath heavy. His phone vibrated. Arya Voss was calling 7. Victor ordered a hunt for you. I know the truth. Meet in Moscow. Kai hesitated. Arya was a teammate, but her loyalty, he turned off the phone, hiding the core deeper. Arriving in Moscow, the cold city with light snow falling, Kai sneaked into an underground bar in the center. Elias's contact was waiting, a former Russian agent named Sergei, his face scarred, voice hoarse. Elias sent you. Decode this core. Kai handed over the chain. Sergei plugged it into an old computer, his fingers typing quickly. The screen lit up. Data about Victor smuggling nuclear weapons to underground powers in Russia. Damn, Kai muttered. Victor had turned the CIA into his personal tool, selling secrets to the Russian mafia. But Sergei suddenly pulled a gun. Sorry. Vortex. Victor offered more. Kai lunged forward, using jujitsu to take Sergei down. Breaking his arm, the gun fell, and he grabbed it, shooting Sergei in the leg. You betrayed Elias, Kai growled. Sergei smirked. Money is king in Moscow. But the bar's door shattered. Victor's assassin team stormed in. Leading was Luka, nicknamed the Beast. His massive frame like a Russian bear, eyes bloodshot with rage. Luka laughed maniacally. Vortex. You are the prey. They opened fire with handguns, bullets flying like rain. Kai rolled behind the bar, firing back. A bullet hit the chest of the first man. Luka charged in, using boxing to smash the wooden bar. Kai dodged, using Muay Thai to kick low into Luka's knee. Hearing the bones crack, Luka roared, choking Kai with an armbar. He thrashed, using a knife to slash Luka's arm. Blood sprayed. The bar was in chaos. Kai threw a broken vodka bottle, igniting it with a lighter. Flames erupted, blinding their vision. He dashed out the back door, running into the dark alley of Moscow. Arya appeared from the shadows, pulling him into a car. Get in quickly, I'm on your side. Kai followed, but with suspicion. The car sped through the falling snow, heading towards the outskirts. The data core proves Victor is selling weapons to the Russian mafia, Arya said, her voice trembling. Kai nodded, his heart heavy for Sofia. Luka chased them on a motorcycle, firing a handgun. Bullets hit the rear window, shattering the glass. Kai swerved the car, crashing into Luka's motorcycle, sending him flying into a snowbank. But Luka was resilient. Getting up and laughing, the hunt has just begun. Kai and Arya escaped Moscow, heading towards Prague. The data core was safe, but Victor knew everything. The war was now personal. The car sped through the snow-covered roads on the outskirts of Moscow, the engine roaring, shattering the silence of the winter night. Kai Vortex tightened his grip on the steering wheel, his eyes scanning the rear-view mirror to ensure Luka was no longer pursuing. Beside him, Arya Voss sat quietly, her hand bandaging a scratch from the bar fight, her breath still heavy. Prague is the only option, she said, her voice hoarse. Elias has a contact there, a former agent named Cartel, an expert in decoding. But Victor may have bought him off. Kai nodded, filled with anxiety for Sofia. The data core weighed heavily around his neck, containing evidence of Victor smuggling nuclear weapons to the Russian mafia. If it wasn't decoded, everything would be in vain. They arrived in Prague at dawn. The ancient city with its sharp Gothic towers reaching up to the grey sky. The biting cold seeped through their jackets, the smell of toasted bread wafting from the cafes. Kai hid the car in an underground parking lot, leading Arya through the narrow cobblestone streets. Cartel was waiting in an old house by the Vltava River, his face lined with wrinkles, thick glasses perched on his nose. Elias sent you, Cartel said, his voice heavy with a Czech accent. Hand over the core. Kai gave him the chain, watching his every move. The living room was dark, an old computer humming as Cartel plugged in the core. The screen flickered, data gradually opened, revealing a list of nuclear weapon transfers from the CIA to crime lords in Russia and France. Victor is behind all this, Kai muttered, his heart racing. But Cartel suddenly pushed him down into a basement, a deep, dry well, the bottom filled with sharp stones. Kai fell freely, crashing into the hard bottom, pain radiating through his body. A trap, he shouted up. Cartel laughed from the mouth of the well. Victor has put a high price on you. Vortex. The Russian mafia pays handsomely. The basement door slammed shut, darkness engulfing him. Kai gasped for breath. Checking his injuries, his ribs ached, but were not broken. Water dripped from a rusty old pipe on the wall. He fashioned a pipe bomb from his bag, a backup item from Bangkok, and placed it against the stone wall, waiting for Victor's soldiers to come check. Heavy footsteps echoed. Kai detonated it. Boom! The mouth of the well exploded. Stones flying everywhere. Dust filling the air. He climbed out like a ghost. Using his handgun to shoot the first soldier, a bullet pierced his head, blood splattering on the damp wall. Arya rushed in through the door. Rifle ready, I heard the explosion, but Luka the Beast appeared from the shadows, his massive frame like a bear, his eyes bloodshot with fury. Vortex, you live long, he growled, his Russian accent thick. Luka charged in, using boxing to throw powerful punches. Smashing the nearby wooden table, Kai dodged, using taekwondo to kick high into his chest. Hearing the bones crack, Luka laughed maniacally, choking Kai with an armbar. Lifting him into the air, Kai thrashed, using a knife to slash Luka's arm. Blood dripping, he fell down, rolling to avoid the next punch. They wrestled on the old floor, the wood creaking under their weight. Luka pulled out a large knife, slashing across Kai's stomach. He narrowly dodged, blood scraping his skin. Kai retaliated with Muay Thai, elbowing Luca's jaw, his teeth flying out. "You are Victor's hound," Kai snarled, landing a series of punches to his face. Luca roared, using jujitsu to take Kai down, pinning him to the floor. The knife was at his throat. Luca's hot breath on his face. "Where's the USB? Victor wants it." Kai used his legs to choke Luca, reversing the situation, breaking his arm. The sound of bones cracking echoed, and Luca screamed in pain. Arya shot 2 rounds into Luca's legs from a distance. "Get in the car." Kai jumped up, snatching the data core from Cartel's computer. He had died in the explosion. They dashed out into the old streets of Prague, the car zigzagging through the narrow cobblestone alleys. Luca, despite his injuries, chased them in a large truck, crashing into roadside stalls. Bullets flew from his machine gun, shattering the glass of Kai's car. "He's tough," Arya shouted, firing back with her rifle. A bullet hit the truck's tire, but Luca still maintained control. Kai's car barreled into Charles Square, the crowd of tourists panicking and scattering at the sound of gunfire. Luca rammed his truck into the back of their car, the metal clashing with a loud screech. Kai suddenly turned the car around, ramming back, flipping the truck over. Luca jumped out, charging with a large knife. Kai stopped the car, facing off in the ancient square. Under the weak sunlight, Luca slashed horizontally. Kai dodged, using kung fu to block his hand, landing a punch to his stomach. They fought fiercely. A high kick from Kai hit Luca's chest, causing him to stagger back, panting. "Sophia will die if you don't hand over the core," Luca sneered. Kai was furious, remembering the weak-hearted girl he had once protected. He lunged in, using Aikido to throw Luca down onto the cobblestones, choking him with an armbar. Luca thrashed, the knife slashing across Kai's thigh, blood pouring out. Arya rushed in to assist, using her handgun to shoot Luca in the shoulder. He roared, pushing Kai away, running into the crowd. Kai chased after him, jumping over ancient statues. Firing his handgun, the bullet grazed Luca's ear. They crashed into an old church, stained glass shattering under the gunfire. In the darkness of the church, Luca ambushed, using boxing to smash a stone pillar near Kai. He dodged and used taekwondo to kick Luca's knife away. They struggled by the altar, candles rolling around, a small fire flaring up. Kai stabbed Luca in the shoulder. He screamed in pain but still laughed. "Victor has a hideout in France. Go there and die." Luca collapsed, blood staining the stone floor. Kai gasped for breath, checking the data core. "Safe." Arya pulled him out. "We have to go. Victor knows everything." They left Prague, heading towards Vienna. The data core had partially opened, revealing a larger conspiracy. But Luca was just the beginning. Victor sent more assassins, and Sophia was in critical danger. Kai clenched his fists, ready for the next battle. The weak afternoon sunlight filtered through the golden leaves in the outskirts of Vienna, an ancient city with magnificent Baroque buildings standing tall. Kai Vortex drove through the wide streets, the autumn wind blowing through the open window, carrying the scent of roasted coffee from the roadside cafes. Beside him, Arya Voss checked the data core on her laptop, her fingers typing quickly on the keyboard. The part opened from Prague shows Victor smuggling nuclear weapons for the Russian mafia, she said, her voice tense. He uses the CIA as a cover, selling to the bosses in Moscow and France. Elias was pushed out because he discovered it. Kai tightened his grip on the steering wheel, his eyes flashing with anger. Sophia, the girl he once protected, was now being used by Victor as bait. "We have to save her first," he said, his voice deep and gravelly. They stopped at a small hotel near Stephansplatz, where tourists bustled with cameras, and the church bells echoed. Kai contacted Elias through an encrypted channel. "Where is Sophia?" Elias whispered. "Captured at a villa in the outskirts of Vienna. Victor sent Luca to guard her. Save the girl." 7. Kai hung up. Turning to Arya, "Which side are you really on?" Arya looked him straight in the eye. "I witnessed Victor kill a teammate in Bangkok. I want him dead." Kai nodded. Still wary. They planned infiltrate the villa. Save Sophia. Then decode the rest of the core. The villa was situated on a hill, surrounded by whispering pine forests. With a high electric fence, Kai and Arya approached from the back, cutting the power lines with specialized pliers. A guard appeared. Swinging a karate chop, Kai dodged, using jujitsu to choke him, breaking his neck in an instant. Arya sniped from a distance, taking down the second guard with a silenced gun, a bullet through the head, blood dripping onto the pine needles. They sneaked into the house. The dark hallway thick with the pungent smell of Russian cigarettes. Sophia was tied up in the bedroom, the heart monitor beeping weakly, her face pale. Kai cut the ropes, holding the girl. "I'm here. Sophia. It's okay." But Luca the Beast charged in through the door, his massive frame blocking the way. Laughing maniacally, "You got here fast." Vortex. Luca unleashed a machine gun, bullets shredding the wooden walls. Kai pushed Sophia behind the bed, rolled to dodge, and fired back with a handgun. 2 shots hit Luca's shoulder, but he stood firm like a rock. Arya rushed to assist, using Muay Thai to kick low into Luca's knee. Hearing the bone crack, Luca roared, using boxing to land a hook to her face. Arya staggered, blood dripping from her lip. Kai jumped up, using taekwondo to kick high into Luca's chest. Pushing him back, they struggled in the room, furniture shattering. Luca pulled out a large knife, slashing at Kai's abdomen. He barely dodged, blood grazing his skin, then countered with kung fu, landing a series of punches to Luca's face, his jaw cracking. Sophia is bait. Vortex. Victor wants the data core. Luca snarled, tightening his grip on Kai with an armbar. Kai struggled, using a knife to stab Luca in the thigh, blood spraying out. Arya shot twice at his legs from a distance. Luca fell down. They pulled Sophia and ran to the yard, jumping into the car and speeding down the hill. But Victor already knew. The assassin team blocked them at Stephansplatz, turning the peaceful place into a battlefield. 3 teams in black, automatic rifles at the ready, surrounded the crowd. The first one charged in, using boxing to punch Kai in the face. He dodged, using Muay Thai to kick low into the knee, bones cracking. The second one fired a handgun, the bullet whizzing past his ear. Kai rolled behind an ancient statue, grabbed a gun from the first guard's corpse, and fired back twice into the chest, blood splattered. The crowd panicked and scattered, screams echoing. The assassins unleashed their rifles, bullets flying like a storm. Kai hid behind the sturdy stone wall of the church, his heart pounding, holding Sophia tighter. "Stay calm. Kid," he whispered. Arya sniped from a hidden corner, taking down 3 men with her rifle. They were more than 10. Using close combat kung fu, one kicked high. Kai blocked with taekwondo, then elbowed him, shattering his jaw. Bullets continued to fly. A nearby police car exploded after a rocket from an assassin. Kai zigzagged across the square, dodging bullets. Carrying Sophia on his back, a truck charged towards them, intending to crush them. Kai jumped onto the hood, stabbing through the windshield, pulling the driver out. The truck crashed into the assassins, crushing 3 of them into pulp. Arya drove another vehicle towards them, Get in. They escaped the square. But the assassins chased them on motorcycles, firing handguns relentlessly. Bullets hit the rear window, shattering the glass. On the narrow streets of Vienna, the dramatic chase unfolded. Kai suddenly turned the car, crashing into the first assassin's motorcycle, sending him flying into the stone wall. The second one swung a karate chop through the window, but Kai dodged, using jiu-jitsu to choke him, pulling him into the car and punching his face in. The car flipped over after the collision. Kai jumped out, rolling to dodge the rain of bullets. Holding Sophia as they ran to a nearby train station, they jumped into the last car of a departing train, the assassins climbing onto the roof. The wind howled in his ears on the train roof, speeding through the outskirts of Vienna. The first assassin lunged at him. Using boxing to throw a hook, Kai threw him off the train. He fell onto the tracks, dying instantly. They carried machine guns, firing. The train car riddled with holes. Passengers screamed in fear. Kai used taekwondo to kick the second one off, then fired from his hip, hitting the heart of the third. The assassin used aikido to throw Kai onto the train roof. They rolled near the edge. Kai choked him with an armbar, breaking his arm, then pushed him off, but they carried heavy weapons. One fired a rocket. The train derailed, swaying dangerously. The train car crashed into an old building by the road. Glass shattered, smoke billowing. Kai jumped into the air. Landing on the hood of Arya's car, she drove parallel, providing support from outside. "Get in fast," she shouted. The car sped away, leaving the wreckage behind. They raced to the nearest hospital in Vienna. Blood dripping from Kai's wounds, Sophia was breathing heavily, the heart monitor vibrating. "She needs a doctor," Kai said, his voice filled with worry. But the assassins were still pursuing them, and Victor had not stopped. The fight was now for the lives of all. The central hospital in Vienna appeared under the flashing neon lights, the white building standing out in the quiet midnight. Kai Vortex crashed the car into the emergency parking lot, the tires screeching on the wet pavement after the rain. Sophia lay unconscious in the back seat, the heart monitor beeping rapidly, her face pale under the yellow streetlights. "She's lost a lot of blood," Arya Voss said, her voice anxious, pressing on her own shoulder wound. Kai jumped out, picked Sophia up, and ran into the emergency room. Doctors and nurses rushed in, pushing the girl into the operating room. "Congenital weak heart," Kai explained hurriedly. Blood from his own wounds dripping onto the white tiled floor. The hospital air was thick with the smell of antiseptic. The sound of machines roaring reminded him of hellish training nights. Kai sat in the hallway, gripping the data core tightly in his hand, his eyes scanning for any signs of trouble. Arya sat beside him, bandaging her wounds. "She'll be okay. Elias once said she's as strong as you." Kai nodded, but his heart was heavy. Victor Draven knew everything. The data core revealed a conspiracy to smuggle nuclear weapons for the Russian mafia and France. If not exposed, Sophia and Elias would die. "We have to get her to safety," he said, his voice deep. Arya touched his shoulder. "Barcelona. I have contacts in Spain. We can decode the rest of the core there." Suddenly, the glass door of the waiting room shattered from a barrage of bullets. Victor's assassin team burst in, 5 men in black, silenced handguns at the ready. The first one charged in, using karate to slash at Kai's neck. He dodged, using jiu-jitsu to choke the man, breaking his neck in an instant. The body falling to the floor, Arya sniped from a hidden corner, taking down the second man with a rifle. A bullet through the chest, blood splattering on the white wall. "Protect Sophia," Kai shouted, rushing into the chaotic hallway. Nurses screamed, Patients ran in panic, the alarm blaring. The third man threw a powerful boxing hook. Kai blocked with taekwondo, kicking high into his chest, pushing him back a few steps. A knife glinted. The man slashed at Kai's abdomen. Kai barely dodged, blood grazing his skin, then countered with Muay Thai, elbowing him and shattering his jaw, teeth flying out. The fourth man fired a machine gun from a distance. Bullets shredding furniture. Kai rolled behind the reception desk. Firing back with his handgun, 2 shots hit the thigh. The man fell down, screaming in pain. Arya joined in, using Aikido to throw the last man, choking him with an armbar until he passed out. But it wasn't over. Luca the Beast appeared from the back door, his massive frame, face scarred from the Prague fight. Vortex. Where is the data core? He growled, unleashing a machine gun. Bullets flying like rain. Kai pushed Arya away, jumped over the table, and unleashed a series of kung fu punches to Luca's face. He laughed maniacally, using boxing to land a hook on Kai's shoulder. Bones cracking. Kai roared, kicking low into Luca's knee, making him stagger. They struggled in the hallway. Furniture shattered, blood staining the floor. Luca pulled out a large knife, stabbing at Kai's hip. He dodged, the knife grazing his skin, then used his own knife to stab through Luca's shoulder. Blood spraying out. Arya shot twice at Luca's legs. Kai snatched the data core from the assassin's bag. They carried it to show off their achievements. But Luca snatched it back. Running into the operating room, Kai chased after him, bursting into the room where the doctors were operating on Sophia. Luca pressed a gun to the girl's head. Hand over the core. Vortex. Kai hesitated, his heart tightening. Arya charged in from the side, using Muay Thai to kick Luca's gun away. Kai jumped up, using taekwondo to kick high into his chest, slamming Luca against the wall. Luca struggled, slashing wildly with the knife. Kai choked him with an armbar, breaking his arm, then stabbed the knife into his thigh. Luca screamed in pain, dropping the data core. They pulled Sophia out of the room, the surgery completed in haste, and ran to the parking lot. The car sped away from the hospital, leaving chaos behind. Luca was resilient, sending more assassins after them on motorcycles. On the highway towards Barcelona, bullets whizzed past the glass. Kai suddenly turned the car, crashing into the first assassin's motorcycle, sending him flying. The second one fired a handgun. The bullet hit the rear window. Arya fired back, taking him down with her rifle. They escaped Vienna, heading towards Spain through the long night. Arriving in Barcelona, a vibrant city with Gaudi's curvy buildings under the moonlight. They hid in an abandoned warehouse near the port. The salty sea scent wafted in, waves lapping softly outside the window. Sophia lay resting, the heart monitor stable. Kai leaned against the wall, bandaging his wound, his body aching. Arya sat beside him, sharing. How did you join Eclipse? I heard you killed your father. Kai took a deep breath, his eyes distant. My father was a monster. He beat my mother and me. One night, he almost killed my sister. I shot him in New York. No regrets. But it landed me in prison. Elias saved me, gave me purpose. His voice trembled slightly, emotions surfacing for the first time. Arya nodded, her eyes red. I lost my family in Los Angeles to the mafia. Victor promised justice, but he betrayed his teammates. I'm on your side for that. They looked at each other, a connection forming between two lonely souls. Kai checked the data core. The newly opened section revealed Victor's secondary hideout in Costa Brava, Spain. We have to attack, he said, his voice resolute. Arya touched his hand. Together, Sophia woke up, hugging Kai. "You saved me." He patted her head, a rare warmth in his heart. But Victor was about to send more troops. The hunt continued, and Barcelona was now the new battlefield. The Mediterranean Sea sparkled under the late-night moon in Costa Brava, Spain, where steep cliffs embraced the rugged coastline. Waves whispering like the death's whispers. Kai Vortex hid in the dense pine forest near the villa, Luca, the beast's secondary hideout. An ancient stone building with barbed wire fences and constantly scanning cameras. Beside him, Aria Voss checked her rifle, her eyes glinting with determination, while Sophia rested behind them, the heart monitor beeping weakly. "Elias is imprisoned there," Kai whispered, his voice deep. From the data core opened in Barcelona, they knew Victor Draven used this place as a temporary nuclear weapons cache before moving to France. "We save him, then attack the main hideout in Provence." Aria nodded, gripping her knife tightly. "There are many guards, but we have the element of surprise." Kai assembled the sniper rifle, aiming through the scope at the villa, glowing with yellow lights. They moved silently through the forest, the scent of pine resin mingling with the strong sea salt. A guard appeared, patrolling with karate. Kai lunged from the shadows, using jujitsu to choke him, breaking his neck in an instant, the body collapsing softly onto the sandy ground. Aria cut the fence wires. They sneaked into the backyard, avoiding the cameras by crawling on the ground. Inside the villa, the hallway was dark, with the smell of metal and gunpowder. Kai pushed open the basement door, where Elias Storm was tied to a metal chair, his face bruised, blood dried and splattered. "Kai, you made it," Elias whispered, his eyes lighting up with hope. Kai cut the ropes, helping him up. "Sophia is safe. We need to go." But an explosion sounded. The guards had discovered them. Kai pushed Elias and Aria back, throwing a smoke grenade. The smoke spread thickly. He charged in, using Muay Thai to kick low, breaking the first guard's leg. The second one fired a machine gun, bullets shredding the stone wall. Kai rolled, firing back with his handgun. 2 shots hit the chest. The man collapsed, blood splattering. Aria led Sophia and Elias through the hallway, sniping from a hidden corner, taking down 3 guards with her rifle. "The exit is over there," she shouted. They rushed out into the yard, but Luca was waiting with his team of assassins. He laughed maniacally. "Vortex, you dare come to my territory?" Luca unleashed a machine gun, bullets flying like rain. Kai pulled Elias to hide behind the stone wall, using taekwondo to kick a guard's gun away, then shot down another with a bullet through the head. Aria coordinated, using aikido to throw one man, choking him with an armbar until he passed out. They ran into the forest near the villa, but Luca's men chased after them, automatic rifles firing, leaves flying everywhere. Elias suddenly stopped, gasping for breath, clutching his chest. "I can't run anymore. Take Sophia." "Kai." Before Kai could react, Elias pulled a grenade from his pocket, something he had hidden, and ran back towards the guards. "Run," he shouted, charging into the midst of the assassins. Kai pulled Sophia and Aria away, his heart tightening. An explosion shook the sky. Elias embraced the grenade, sacrificing himself along with 5 guards, flames lighting up the night forest. Sophia screamed. Grandpa Kai held her, tears streaming down his face for the first time. "He saved us. He was a hero." Aria touched Kai's shoulder, her voice choked. "We have to keep going. Victor will pay." They hid deep in the forest, looking for an abandoned house by the sea to take refuge. The smell of rotting wood mixed with the salty sea breeze enveloped them. Sophia lay resting. Kai checked her heart monitor, stable but weak. He opened the data core on an old laptop found in the villa. The final part revealed Victor's main hideout in Provence, France, where he met with the Russian mafia to deliver nuclear weapons. He has powerful backing in Washington, Arya said, her eyes flashing with anger. Kai nodded, his heart heavy for Elias. He had saved him from prison, now sacrificing himself for him. In Provence, Victor received news from Luca. Elias is dead. But Vortex escaped. Victor slammed the table in his dark office. Kill him in France. Luca, you work for me. Luca, surviving the explosion with a burned face, smirked. All right, boss. I love the hunt. He sent a heavy assassin team to Costa Brava, determined to seize the data core. Kai, Arya, and Sophia got into the car, heading towards France across the border. On the highway, the assassins ambushed them. A truck charged towards them, intending to flip their car. Kai turned the car, crashing back, making the truck explode. Flames erupting in the night. The assassins jumped out, attacking with kung fu. Kai fought in close combat, using taekwondo to kick high, shattering one man's jaw. Arya fired her rifle from the back seat. Taking down 3 men, they escaped the ambush. But Kai was stabbed in the thigh, blood flowing profusely. He gritted his teeth, continuing to drive Sophia. Are you okay? The girl nodded, hugging Arya tightly. I'm scared, but I trust you. They stopped in a small village near the Spain-France border. Taking refuge in a run-down inn, Kai bandaged his wounds, his body exhausted, but his will was iron. Arya shared. Elias once saved me in Miami. He was the godfather of the entire group. Kai nodded, recalling Elias's words, live for justice. 7. Now, he lived for revenge. Luca was coming, and the Provence stronghold awaited. The final battle was drawing near, with a burning rage in Kai's heart. The tranquil lake in Provence, France, reflected the silvery moonlight, its surface rippling under the chilly night wind. Kai Vortex stood on the dew-kissed grass, blood from the stab wound in his thigh soaking his pants red. But his eyes burned with the determination to avenge Elias Storm. Opposite him was Luca the Beast, a crazed smile spreading across his face, scarred from the explosion in Spain. He gripped a large knife, his voice a growl. Vortex, you dare come to my den. Where's the data core? Victor wants it. Sophia was safe with Arya Voss in a nearby abandoned house. But Kai knew this fight wasn't just for the core, it was for everything Victor Draven had destroyed. From Elias to countless other agents, Luca charged first, throwing a powerful boxing hook like a sledgehammer. Kai dodged aside, delivering a high taekwondo kick to his chest, pushing him back a few steps on the muddy lake bank. Luca sneered, pulling out a handgun and firing repeatedly. Kai rolled through the wet grass as bullets grazed his shoulder, drawing more blood that seeped into the dark water. He leaped up, applying a jiu-jitsu chokehold on Luca, but the man countered with a reverse karate chop, forcing Kai to release his grip and step back. Panting, they grappled on the lake bank. Exchanging blows, Kai landed a Muay Thai elbow strike to Luca's face, hearing the crack of his nose bone breaking as Luca's blood dripped into the lake. Undeterred, Luca stabbed his knife into Kai's shoulder. He roared in pain as blood stained the shimmering surface of the water red. Kai countered with Aikido, throwing Luca into the lake. Water splashed everywhere as they wrestled in the frigid current. Covered in mud, Luca wrapped his hands around Kai's neck. Pushing his head deep underwater, Kai struggled, using kung fu to punch him in the stomach. Making Luca choke on water, he surfaced, pulling Luca with him, and delivered a barrage of punches to his face. You're Victor's dog, Elias died because of you. Luca laughed maniacally. That old man was weak. Victor will kill you all. Suddenly, Elara, Luca's assistant, a blonde woman with cold eyes, emerged from the shadows of the pine forest. A rifle aimed squarely. Stop. Luca, she yelled, her voice echoing across the lake. Kai paused, panting, water dripping from his hair. Luca sneered and stood up. Elara, you're on my side. Kill Vortex. But Elara fired not at Kai, but at Luca's backside. He screamed in pain and fell into the muddy water. I'm tired of Victor, Elara said coldly, tossing the rifle to Kai. Finish him. Kai caught the rifle but hesitated. Elara was Luca's loyal assistant. But now a traitor Luca seized the moment, leaping from the water and landing a boxing punch to Kai's face. He staggered, blood dripping from his split lip. Kai countered with Muay Thai, delivering a low kick to Luca's knee, bringing him down. He jumped into the water, pulled Luca up, and locked him in an armbar. Luca thrashed, slashing wildly with his knife, carving a deep gash in Kai's leg. He gritted his teeth against the pain, shattered Luca's jaw with a punch, and then shoved him underwater again. The lake was stained red with blood under the late-night moon. Luca was weakening, but he still smiled. Victor has powerful forces in Washington. You can't win. Kai said nothing. Plunging his knife through the man's chest, Luca's breath stopped, his eyes wide open, and his body floated on the lake's surface. Kai stood up, panting, his body aching all over. Elara approached. The data core is safe. Victor keeps a copy at his chateau in Provence. Kai looked at her warily. Whose side are you on? Elara gave a faint smile. The side of survival. Victor killed my comrades in Russia. I want him dead. They returned to the abandoned house where Arya and Sophia were waiting. Sophia threw her arms around Kai, sobbing. Are you okay? Uncle, I was so scared. He stroked the little girl's hair, his heart aching for Elias. I'm okay. Kiddo. We're going home. Arya checked Kai's wounds. You need to get patched up. Who's Elara? Elara explained. Luca's assistant. But I betrayed him. Victor is using the Russian mafia to traffic nuclear weapons. His chateau in Provence is full of soldiers. Kai nodded, his heart heavy. Elias had sacrificed himself. Now he had to finish it. Kai, Arya, and Elara got in the car and headed toward Victor's chateau, leaving Sophia in the abandoned house with a secure communication line from Elias. On a French highway, assassins ambushed them. A truck sped toward them, trying to ram their car off the road. Kai swerved and rammed it back, causing the truck to explode in a fireball that lit up the dark night. Assassins jumped out, attacking with kung fu. Kai engaged in close combat using a high taekwondo kick to shatter one man's jaw. Arya fired the assault rifle from the back seat, taking down 3 men with precise shots. Elara used a knife, plunging it through one man's neck, splattering blood across the windshield. They reached the old chateau in Provence, surrounded by towering stone walls, with guards patrolling. Machine guns at the ready, Kai infiltrated over the back wall, taking down 2 men silently with his knife, a swift slice to the throat, their bodies falling onto the wet grass. Arya and Elara followed, sniping from a distance, taking down 3 more. They entered the main hall, where Victor stood amidst a team of assassins, a pistol in his hand, a fake smile on his face. Vortex, you're persistent. Elias died for nothing. Kai charged, landing a Muay Thai kick to the first assassin's chest, then shot 2 others with his handgun. Bullets pierced their heads, blood pooling on the stone floor. Victor ran up a spiral staircase. With Kai in pursuit, an assassin blocked his path. Applying a jujitsu chokehold, Kai broke his arm, used Aikido to throw him to the ground, and then stabbed a knife through his heart. Arya and Elara fought in the hall below, guns blazing and fists flying, Arya sniping with her rifle, Elara using a karate chop to disable one man's arm. An explosion shook the chateau. Guards had detonated a grenade, sending stone fragments flying. Kai chased Victor up a high tower, the night wind whistling through the stonework. Victor fired his pistol, a bullet grazing Kai's ear. He leaped forward, using a karate chop to strike Victor's hand, making him drop the gun. Victor stabbed a knife into Kai's hip, drawing a stream of blood. Kai roared, delivering a kung fu punch to Victor's face that sent him sprawling onto the cold stone floor. "You've lost," Kai said, blood dripping from his wound. But Victor laughed. "You have no idea who's behind me." A helicopter appeared in the sky, firing down on the tower. Kai took cover behind a stone pillar, pulling Victor in front of him as a human shield. He screamed as bullets tore through his shoulder. Kai jumped onto the chateau roof, running toward Arya and Elara. They escaped outside, but assassins were still in pursuit. Kai knew the fight wasn't over. A greater power in Washington was waiting. The old chateau in Provence, France, shook with explosions as thick smoke billowed from the lower floors, flames licking the grey stone walls. Kai Vortex leaped down from the towering roof, his body hitting the slippery tiles hard, the blood from the stab wound in his hip soaking his jacket red. Sophia was safe in the abandoned house, but he had to live to protect her. Arya Voss and Elara ran out from the hall below, assault rifles at the ready, their eyes scanning the courtyard littered with the bodies of assassins. Kai. "Victor's still alive," he called for a helicopter. Arya yelled, her voice fighting the night wind whistling through the stonework. Kai nodded, his heart pounding. "Get the backup data core. He keeps it in the basement." They turned back into the chateau, defying the remaining assassins who were regrouping. They charged into the chaotic main hall, the stone floor slick with blood and shattered glass. A team of assassins blocked their way, firing machine guns from the staircase. Kai took cover behind a stone pillar. Returning fire with his handgun, 2 shots hit the first man in the chest, and he tumbled down the stairs. Arya used her sniper rifle to take down 3 men from a distance, the sound of bullets piercing skulls echoing faintly. Elara rushed into close combat, using a karate chop on one man's arm, then stabbing her knife into his neck, sending blood gushing like a fountain. "The basement is that way," Kai yelled, leading the way down a dark, spiral staircase thick with the smell of dampness and gunpowder. In the basement, the frigid air bit at their skin, and a fluorescent light flickered weakly. Victor Draven stood there, holding the backup data core, his fake smile twisted by the wound in his shoulder. "Vortex, you think you can escape? I have protection from Washington." He pressed an alarm button, and the basement door slammed shut. Assassins rushed in from the dark corners, attacking with jujitsu. Kai dodged a chokehold from the first man, used Aikido to throw him down, and then plunged a knife through his heart. Arya fired her rifle. Taking down 2 men, bullets tore through their chests, splashing blood on the concrete walls. Elara used a low Muay Thai kick to break one man's leg, then choked him unconscious with an armbar. Kai lunged at Victor, delivering a high taekwondo kick to his chest that sent him staggering back. Victor drew his pistol and fired. The bullet whizzed past Kai's ear, drawing warm blood. He countered with kung fu, landing a flurry of punches on Victor's face. Hearing his jaw crack, "Give me the core!" Kai roared, snatching the data core from Victor's hand. But Victor stabbed a knife into Kai's back, the cold blade piercing his flesh. Kai gritted his teeth, smashing his elbow into Victor's nose, shattering it and splattering his blood on the basement floor. "You don't know who's backing me." Victor sneered as he collapsed. Suddenly, the roar of a helicopter came from above, strafing the chateau with machine gun fire. Bullets tore through the roof, sending stone debris flying and trapping the group. "We're pinned down," Arya yelled, hiding behind a crate of weapons. The helicopter circled, its searchlight sweeping the basement through the hole in the ceiling, giving the assassins an opening to charge. Kai threw a grenade upward, blowing up part of the roof and creating a cloud of smoke. Elara pointed to a secret exit. "Follow me," Luca used to use this tunnel. They followed her through a damp underground passage. Water dripping from the ceiling, the air thick with the smell of wet earth. Assassins pursued them, their handgun shots echoing in the tunnel. Kai turned to cover their retreat, landing a boxing hook on the first man's face. Then a low kick that broke his leg. The second man tried a horizontal karate chop. Kai dodged and used a jiu-jitsu chokehold to break his arm. Arya provided support, taking down 3 men from a distance. Elara led the way, using her knife to cut through a grate, blocking the exit. They emerged into the pine forest near the chateau, the night wind carrying the strong smell of smoke. The helicopter's searchlight swept the forest, firing into the trees and sending leaves flying. Kai pulled the group behind a large boulder and fired his handgun at the helicopter. A shot hit the fuel tank, and it erupted in flames, crashing down like a meteor and exploding in the middle of the forest. They ran to their hidden car and sped away from Provence, leaving the burning chateau behind. Kai examined the backup data core. It revealed a much larger conspiracy. Victor was not only smuggling nuclear weapons for the Russian and French mafias, but was also protected by high-ranking officials in Washington, who were turning the CIA into their personal tool. A shadow power in the capital, Kai muttered, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. Arya looked at the data. "They're using the weapons to control politics. Elias died because he found out." Elara chimed in. "I know more. Victor met with them in Barcelona before the shipment. We have to stop it." The car sped through the French night, heading for Spain. On the highway, assassins ambushed them again. A truck charged at them, trying to ram their car off the road. Kai swerved sharply and rammed it back, causing the truck to explode in a fireball that illuminated the highway. Assassins jumped out, attacking with kung fu. Kai fought them in close quarters, using a high taekwondo kick to shatter one man's jaw, splattering blood on the windshield. Arya fired her assault rifle from the back seat, taking down 3 men. Elara used her knife to stab one man through the chest, then choked another with an armbar. They escaped and stopped in a small border village to bandage their wounds. Kai sat leaning against the wall of a run-down inn, the smell of toasted bread wafting from a kitchen. "Elara, why did you betray Luca?" he asked, his eyes wary. Elara explained. "He killed my younger brother in Moscow. Victor promised me justice, but only used me as a tool. Now, I want them all dead." Arya nodded. "We're on the same side. Barcelona is the key." Kai thought of Sophia, his heart heavy. "We save the kid first, then expose everything." But Victor already knew they were heading to Spain. The final hunt was waiting, with the Washington conspiracy lurking in the shadows. The bright neon lights of Barcelona illuminated the winding cobblestone streets, the salty smell of the sea mingling with the sound of waves from the nearby port. Kai Vortex drove through the late night, the Mediterranean wind blowing through the open window, carrying a chill from the ocean. Beside him, Arya Voss examined the backup data core on a laptop, the screen's glow casting a worried expression on her face. "Victor is meeting with the Washington powers at the port of Barcelona," she said, her voice tense. "They're moving the nuclear weapons tonight. We have to give the core to the press first. Expose him." Elara sat in the back, gripping her knife. I know a freelance journalist here. But Victor has eyes and ears everywhere. Kai nodded. His heart heavy for Sophia, the girl was safe in an abandoned house on the outskirts. But he had to end this before the shadow conspiracy extended its reach. They stopped at a small cafe near the Sagrada Familia, its spires reaching into the night sky. The journalist, a middle-aged man named Javier, with thick glasses and a heavy Spanish accent, was waiting. "This data?" Javier asked, plugging the core into his computer. The screen lit up, evidence of Victor smuggling nuclear weapons for the Russian and French mafias, with protection from Washington officials. "This will shake the world," Javier whispered, immediately uploading the files online. Kai breathed a sigh of relief. "Expose him. But we have to stop the shipment at the port." Suddenly, the cafe's door shattered from a hail of bullets. Victor's team of assassins stormed in, 10 men dressed in black. Wielding silenced pistols, the first man lunged, attempting a karate chop to Kai's neck. He dodged, wrapping the man in a jiu-jitsu chokehold and snapping his neck in an instant. The body slumping to the wooden floor, Arya sniped from a hidden corner. Taking down the second man with her rifle, a shot through the chest splattered blood on a Gaudi-style painting. Elara charged in, using a low Muay Thai kick to break the third man's leg, then plunged her knife into his neck, sending blood spraying. Kai grabbed the data core from Javier's computer. Run, they burst out onto the street, where crowds of tourists scattered in panic at the sound of gunfire. Victor appeared from a black car, a fake smile on his face. "Vortex. You think the press can save you? I have people everywhere." He opened fire with a machine gun, bullets whizzing past Kai's ear. Kai rolled behind a parked car and fired back with his handgun. 2 shots hit Victor's shoulder, but he remained standing, protected by his men. "Sophia will die first." Victor roared, enraged. Kai charged forward, delivering a high taekwondo kick to the first guard's chest that sent him flying into a wall. They raced to the port of Barcelona, where cargo ships were docked under the dim yellow lights, the air thick with the smell of fish and engine oil. The assassins pursued them, turning the port into a bloody battlefield. One man climbed a crane and fired a rifle from above. Arya took aim and brought him down with a single shot. His body plunged into the water with a splash. Elara used Aikido to throw 2 men off the pier, choking one unconscious with an armbar. Kai confronted Victor amid stacks of containers, the sea wind whistling in his ears. Victor lunged, throwing a powerful boxing hook. Kai dodged, countering with a flurry of kung fu punches to his face. Hearing Victor's jaw crack, "You sold out," Elias Kai roared, delivering a low kick to Victor's knee that made him buckle. Victor drew a knife, slashing at Kai's abdomen. He dodged just in time, the blade grazing his skin, and countered with a Muay Thai elbow strike that shattered Victor's nose, splattering blood on the concrete floor. "The powers in Washington will protect me," Victor sneered. Getting up to choke Kai, Kai reversed the hold with an armbar, breaking his arm with a loud snap. Arya and Elara rushed to help. Shooting down the 4 remaining assassins, bullets tore through their chests, and their bodies fell into the dark water. A cargo ship, loaded with nuclear weapons, began to pull away from the dock. Kai leaped onto the ship's deck, using his handgun to pick off the guards, 2 shots to the head, their bodies falling into the sea. Victor pursued him, firing his pistol from the pier. A bullet grazed Kai's leg, and he stumbled but kept moving, using jiu-jitsu to tackle Victor onto the wet deck. They rolled among ropes and crates, knives flashing. Victor stabbed Kai in the hip, the cold blade piercing his skin. Kai roared in pain and stabbed back, plunging his knife into Victor's shoulder, drawing a spray of blood. Arya jumped aboard the ship and shot the pilot with her rifle. The ship came to a halt in the middle of the port. Elara activated an alarm, and sirens blared as the Barcelona police swarmed the area. Victor struggled. "You haven't won." "Vortex. Washington will hunt you down." Kai subdued him with an armbar, choking him unconscious before handing him over to the police. The press had received the data core, and the news spread like wildfire. Victor was arrested, his smuggling conspiracy exposed. But Kai knew it was only a partial victory. The shadow forces in Washington were already covering their tracks, erasing all traces. They returned to the abandoned house and embraced Sophia. "Did you win, Uncle?" the little girl asked, her eyes bright. Kai stroked her hair. "Not yet, kiddo. But Victor is finished." Arya took his hand. "We have to go back to the States and face them." Ilara nodded, a mysterious look in her eyes. "I'm going with you. There are bigger secrets." Kai looked out at the sea, the wind carrying the scent of freedom. But his heart was heavy. Victor was captured, but the power behind him remained hidden in the shadows, ready for revenge. The war had now moved to Washington, where the final truth awaited. Faint morning sunlight streamed through the window of the private jet as it landed at Dulles Airport on the outskirts of Washington. Okay. Kai Vortex stepped out first. Holding Sophia tightly in his arms, the little girl was exhausted, but her eyes shone with hope. Her pacemaker beeped steadily, like the rhythm of a new life. Arya Voss and Ilara followed, guns concealed in their jackets, their eyes scanning the bustling airport filled with hurried passengers and echoing announcements. "We're home now, kiddo," Kai whispered, stroking Sophia's hair. But he knew Washington was now a trap. The shadowy forces protecting Victor Draven still lurked within the CIA, and the news exposed in Barcelona had only enraged them. They moved quickly to a safe house villa in the Washington suburbs, a hideout previously arranged by Elias Storm. The chill of the American autumn air seeped through their skin, golden leaves scattering at their feet. Kai checked the data core one last time, evidence of high-ranking Washington officials taking bribes from the Russian mafia, using nuclear weapons to control power. "Victor is just a puppet," Kai said, his voice low and gravelly. Arya nodded. "The CIA will hunt us. They're covering everything up." Ilara interjected, her eyes flashing mysteriously. "I know who's at the top. But we have to save Sophia first." The villa was peaceful with a lush green garden, but Kai felt a sense of unease. They had just entered the house when a hail of bullets shattered the glass doors. A CIA special ops team stormed in 8 men dressed in black, automatic rifles at the ready, led by a middle-aged man named Harlan, Victor's former superior. "Vortex. You traitor!" Harlan roared, unleashing a burst from his machine gun. Kai shoved Sophia behind the sofa, rolled to dodge, and fired back with his handgun. 2 shots hit the first man in the chest, splattering blood across the white wall. Arya sniped from the kitchen. Taking down the second man with her rifle, a bullet pierced his head, and his body collapsed onto the wooden floor. Ilara rushed into close combat, using a karate chop on one man's arm before plunging a knife into his neck, blood gushing like a fountain. "They got here too fast," she yelled. Kai leaped up, delivering a high taekwondo kick to the third man's chest, sending him flying into a glass table that shattered on impact. Harlan charged forward, throwing a powerful boxing hook. Kai dodged, countering with a Muay Thai elbow strike that shattered his jaw, sending teeth flying. They grappled in the middle of the living room, furniture splintering under their feet. Harlan pulled a knife, slashing at Kai's abdomen. He dodged just in time, the blade grazing his skin, then countered with an Aikido throw, slamming Harlan to the floor and locking him in an armbar. "Who's behind?" Victor Kai growled. Harlan sneered. "You have no idea. Washington is full of snakes." Arya and Ilara took down the remaining assassins. Arya with her handgun, Elara, using jujitsu to break one man's arm. The villa shuddered from the sound of a helicopter outside. Machine gun fire raining down on the roof. Kai pulled the group out to the backyard. Jumping into a hidden all-terrain vehicle, the vehicle tore through the suburban Washington forest. Bullets whizzing past the windows. "They know everything," Arya shouted, firing back at the helicopter. Kai swerved the vehicle sharply, diving into the thicket to evade the hail of bullets. The helicopter circled, its searchlight sweeping across the night forest. Elara threw a grenade upwards, blowing off part of the rotor blade. The helicopter plummeted like a falling star, erupting in flames among the trees. They escaped, stopping the vehicle in a deserted park by the Potomac River. The cold river wind biting at them, Sophia, trembling, hugged Kai. "Uncle, I'm scared." "Where do we go now?" Kai stroked her hair. "To a real home, kiddo. But first, I have to hunt them down." Arya checked the news on her phone. American press reported Victor's capture, but Washington officials denied any connection, calling it fake news. "They're covering it up," she said, her voice filled with anger. Kai clenched his fists. "I'll hunt down every last one of them. The shadow power will pay for what they did to Elias." Suddenly, Elara stopped, her voice trembling. "Kai, I have to tell you the truth." She pulled up her shirt, revealing a large scar on her abdomen. "I'm Elias's sister. He sent me to watch Luca from Russia, posing as an assistant to gather evidence. Victor killed our parents in Moscow because he discovered the conspiracy. Elias sacrificed himself to save me." Kai was stunned, his eyes wide. "Why didn't you say anything sooner?" Elara cried. "I was afraid you wouldn't believe me." Now, a new journey begins. The power in Washington, a senator named Blackwood, is behind it all. He's using the Russian mafia to manipulate elections. "We have to hunt him." Arya nodded. Together, Kai looked out at the Potomac River, shimmering under the moon. The wind carrying the scent of decaying leaves and freedom. He held Sophia tighter. "All right. For Elias. For all of them." But he knew Blackwood wielded immense power, with bodyguards and a network throughout Washington. The new hunt would be more brutal, filled with betrayal and blood. Kai stood up, his gun at the ready. "It starts here." Darkness enveloped them, but the fire of rage burned within him, beginning a journey of endless vengeance.